welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my summer unhaul video. So I have a small stack of books that I'm going to be unhauling today. Some of them I have read and just decided not to keep for various reasons, and some of them I have not. So without further ado, we're just gonna get started. First up is the Haunting of Sunshine Girl series. This is a trilogy. I have the third book in a different room on a different shelf. This is about a girl who is adopted, and on her 17th birthday some weird things start to happen in her new home, and she kind of can sense and like talk to spirits and ghosts, and she starts to unravel things about her life, and little mysterious things start to happen and all kinds of stuff. I actually enjoyed this series while I listened to it. It's written by Paige McKenzie. She was 14 when she wrote these books based off her really popular YouTube series, which I haven't seen yet. They were spooky and they were fun and they were really good for the fall, but it's something that I probably don't need to keep on my shelves because they were all like a 3.5 read for me. So while I do still recommend these, especially for the spooky season, I am going to let them go, just free up space on my shelves. Next up is The Archived by Victoria Schwab. So this one is about a library of the dead. The dead rest on shelves kind of like in a library, like books, and there are these like keepers that keep the dead in line and make sure everything goes good and all this kind of stuff, and you can access their memories and all these different things. So our main character is like learning how to be one of these keepers. I don't remember what they're called. I think it's keepers. I actually enjoyed this book quite a bit. I read it last fall. It was a 4-star read for me, but the second book I didn't like very much at all. Victoria Schwab's writing style so far that I have read is very dark, and it's kind of like heavy, if that makes sense. So sometimes her writing style can make me feel like a little bit sad, even though I've read darker things as far as the content goes. It just kind of like weighs me down a little bit. So while I did enjoy this first book, I don't think I'm going to keep it because I didn't like the duology as a whole. And I'm a little bit on the fence with Victoria Schwab because I've kind of felt that way about everything. Like her concepts are really good and her writing is really good, but it's a little bit slower as well. So I am going to unhaul this one. Next up is The Lifeboat Clique by Kathy Parks. I read this for Hike-a-thon not too long ago. It was my first read. This is basically about some high school kids that go to a party. All of them are really popular except for our main character, and the party gets hit by a tsunami and they wind up having to survive on this lifeboat together, and they don't like each other. I had fun with this one and I enjoyed it while I read it again, but it was like a 3.5-star read, and it was something that didn't really stick with me long term, and I feel like I won't ever read it again. So I did enjoy it while I read it, and it was a fun survival-y read, or well not fun exactly, but it was an interesting survival read, but not something that I will probably ever come back to. And then I'm going to unhaul the Descendants series. I only have the first 3 books, the other ones again in the other room. This is a Disney series based on Disney villains' kids. So all of the Disney villains and their kids live on this island, and in the first book basically something happens where the kids get the opportunity to go to the mainland and be with all the other Disney characters. It's super fun, very Disney-esque. Melissa De La Cruz's writing style is a little more simple. It is a middle grade series. It's based off the movies, most of them, or they kind of connect with the movies. I did enjoy them while I read them, especially the 3rd and the 4th book, but again, 3.5-star reads. I think the covers are super fun, and I can always find them again if I change my mind, but for now we're gonna unhaul them just because they weren't like super amazing. Next up is Storm Siren by Mary Weber. So this is the first book in a trilogy as well, about an elemental witch basically, and I listened to this one on audiobook, and I will say I really did not like the narrator for this first book. She was really rough to get through. I felt like the story and the plot of this series, like the girl is also like an orphan and she's found and she has a special ability that can save the world, was decent enough that I may look into them later. And the second book has a different narrator, so I'm gonna possibly listen to it and see if that helps. But it has a lot of similar things to a lot of other books that I've read that were better. So for now, I'm going to unhaul this first book because it's the only one I have. And then lastly, Strange the Dreamer and Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. This one literally hurts my soul because I was so excited for it. I adore Laini Taylor's Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy. These are absolutely beautiful books, and they are so hyped here on BookTube. And I listened to the first book on audio. Again, the narrator wasn't my favorite. He was good, but I just felt like the story itself was incredibly long. And while I did like some of the characters, I just never got fully attached. And I realized like a couple weeks after that I was kind of dreading reading the second book because they're so huge. And I've read other huge books before and not felt that way, so it wasn't just the length. But I don't know, like I understand why everyone else likes them so much. Like there's a lot of mythology in here and a lot of really unique things, but I just feel like they were kind of long and slower for me. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to unhaul them. A couple of my friends read the second book and said that it was about the same as the first book, so I never got to read this second one. Kind of sad about it, but you know, that's the way it goes when you read things, and I just would want to keep things I really love on my shelf, so I can't let these pretty covers like sway my opinion. Okay, and then the last are just some things that I haven't read that I decided to unhaul. Most of these are kind of cheating, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm gonna unhaul Truth Witch, another Elemental Witch series. Ink and Bone by Rachel Caine, first, I think this is the second or first in the series. The Inquisition by Taran Metheru, so this is second, I think, in the series. And then Timekeeper by Tara Sim, which is also first in the series. So, the only reason I'm unhauling these is because they're paperback. And I know that's petty for some of you, but I have been physically reading incredibly slowly, and I do like to keep paperbacks on hand for when I go to the beach or other places where they get a little bit more roughed up, but I have a huge stack, so I thought I'd get rid of some. I can find all of these on audio, and I can purchase all of them on hardback if I wind up liking them. And a lot of these, like with Truth Witch and the Summoner series and Ink and Bone, I have the other books in the series already in hardback. So honestly, I got these last year when none of the bookstores were open, just because I was like, oh, I need to get as many books as possible instead of waiting for the hardbacks. So now that I know I can find them on audio and in hardback, I'm gonna unhaul these and just wait and swap them out. So those are all of the books that I am unhauling today, just a small little unhaul. I usually do like a couple of these per year and then have a big one at the end of the year to kind of keep my TBR somewhat okay. I do plan on getting new bookshelves sometime this year, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. Super excited about it, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be doing a vlog about that, so I'm really excited. So that is all for this video. I will have lots of hauls coming your way to make up for this loss, but let me know if you guys loved any of these books down below and you think I'm crazy, or if you kind of agree with me. And yeah, I will see you guys next time on the bright side. Bye!